Hello, and welcome to the John Ark Show. This episode is called Struggling to Survive on Only $10 Million a Year. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, follow, and comment on the show. Also, I'd like to tell you about a service called HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great service that allows you to purchase live calls from your favorite celebrities. So check them out. There are more than 100 celebrities to choose from. And the live 15-second calls are $19.95, and the live 30-second calls are $29.95. So give it a try for yourself or as a gift for somebody you know. HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now let's get started. Today I'm going to tell you about a phenomena that most everyday Americans will find strange, impossible to believe, or just plain crazy. It's happening in a lot of upscale neighborhoods across the country, and it's happening with disturbing frequency. It's happening to people with so much money that it would cause you to believe they'll never be broke. It may be happening to people you may have known for years, and it's definitely happening to a lot of VIPs, celebrities, actors, musicians, and internet influencers who made a point of telling us how rich they were every day on social media. The phenomena is called being debt rich, and it's happening all across the country to people driving Ferraris and Bentleys and Cadillacs and Range Rovers. Someone who is debt rich may drive a Rolls, may live in a beautiful mansion, and they may even have $10 million in the bank, but they may also have 20 or $30 million in debt. One of the reasons there are so many people who are secretly debt rich is because a lot of the wealthy people don't really own anything. They don't own their home because it's being rented. They don't own their car because it's being leased. They don't own their plane because it's being chartered. They may not even own their company because the company is buried under so much debt that it can be taken away at any time by a court order or the IRS. The next thing that causes financial problems is a refusal to adjust one's lifestyle or spending when things get difficult. Their children's school will continue to cost $100,000 per year per child, regardless of how badly the parents did financially that year. The $20,000 per month for child support payments that the two previous wives continue to demand still has to be paid each month, no matter what. If your company has a payroll, then those employees still need to receive their pay every week. The oil change on their Ferrari still costs $1,000, and flying first class can easily cost $1,500. The minimum $50,000 per month payment they have to make on their credit card still has to be made each month. Going to their favorite restaurant each week and having a great meal and a bottle of wine can easily cost $500. And that's only if you get an average bottle of wine. You can easily spend $1,000 on just a really good bottle of wine during a meal. And you know what the biggest problem all of these super wealthy have? It's the $3,000 per night hooker who looks like Marilyn Monroe or Beyonce that for some strange reason won't lower her price now that you're having financial problems. That alone can cause some serious mental health issues for a lot of dentists or businessmen who are having financial problems. So when someone tells you they're making $10 million a year, or they have $10 million in the bank, or even $10 million in assets, what they're usually not telling you is how much debt they have. And it's the debt that makes it impossible for many of the wealthy to survive on the 10 million they do have. So what do these people do? Well, most of them will borrow or take on more debt. If they do own a mansion, they will refinance it and take out some cash to live off of. If they were stupid enough to own millions of dollars in jewelry and they're really desperate, then they will try to pawn it or auction it off. Unfortunately, in most cases, jewelry is only worth whatever its gold weight is, And if it has diamonds or precious stones, then you never get the retail value of those stones. If you're really lucky, you may get 20% of whatever you paid for the jewelry. So, what else do debt-rich people in financial trouble do when they're really broke or underwater? A lot of them will start cheating on their spouses with somebody much wealthier. Or they may try to get their spouse to deliberately cheat on them so they can leave them and pay minimal or no alimony. The thing about wealth is that it is so often an illusion. It's not that someone isn't wealthy, it's just that their wealth doesn't tell the full story. You know, the government of Malta now allows you to purchase a Maltese passport for $1 million, a legitimate Maltese passport. That means that the super rich criminal oligarchs from Russia or other shady countries who could never permanently relocate to Europe or some other countries because they would immediately be flagged as criminals can now obtain a Maltese passport and travel to that island country. From there, they can travel to any place in the European Union and eventually move to the United States. That's the value of a Maltese passport. Now, the process of changing identities and citizenships is called passport laundering. It can be a little expensive to do, but legally, if you want to launder a couple of $1 billion and move it to another country, then you're really not going to worry about spending a few $1 million to accomplish that. Why is that so important? Because many times when you see the super wealthy from other countries coming to the US and purchasing mansions and companies and $50 million Rembrandts, it's not because they love the US. It's because they need to move their money out of the country to prevent their creditors or the courts or other oligarch criminals in their homeland from stealing it, taxing it, or just taking it. Normally, you can't do that so easily because the new banking laws monitor everything so much more closely that most serious criminals might not be allowed to purchase a mansion in this country with their dirty money. However, if you were able to employ passport laundering to successfully change your identity or your citizenship before you land in another country, then that makes it much easier to escape with your wealth and park it elsewhere. In fact, there are well-known international law firms that specialize in legally hiding or transferring a client's assets around the world so well that by the time they're done, it'll be difficult for anyone to figure out where it came from and what sort of illegal activity allowed you to generate it. Another financial mechanism that is disturbingly common and used to escape debts or alimony or court judgments or crazy civil suits are the various cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. There was a time where if someone was involved in a protracted court case that ended with a massive judgment against them, then their lawyers would advise them to file for bankruptcy. But now there is an entire underground cottage industry designed to help people hide or transfer their wealth with cryptocurrency. If you can afford it, or if you know the right people, then you can start transferring money into cryptocurrencies and then move out of the country and begin living off your Bitcoin account. In this day and age, one can even make the argument that the appearance of wealth is much more valuable than actual wealth because a court judgment or a government action cannot seize or put a lien on the appearance of wealth. If there's nothing really there but the illusion of wealth, then you can use that illusion to attract a new social circle of business contacts that you can use at a later time to try and make money with. That's why being able to borrow against your assets is so important. But it's also why so many people with $10 million and 20 or 30 million in debt are in such huge trouble. It's also why so many lenders and banks line up to loan someone like that more money. It's because they know that when the music stops, they will be able to scoop up the collateral they got for 50 cents on the dollar and sell it for 90 cents of the dollar. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and we will talk to you soon.